What up? What up? Good morning, everybody. Got another yap session for you. This one's going to be about one of my favorite emotions that I'm definitely seeing a whole lot of. I've seen a whole lot of my entire life, but recently it's definitely reared its beautiful slash ugly head, and that is the feeling of jealousy. The beautiful feeling of jealousy. It truly is a beautiful thing. Honestly, it brings out the best in people, because it definitely shows a side of them that they might not truly understand or haven't really kind of manifested itself to where they can consciously make decisions or kind of put themselves in situations where it doesn't control too much of what they're doing and kind of how they're moving in life. But yeah, I'm just seeing a whole lot of that. It's not so much, not only like in my personal situation, but just in the world in general. You know what I'm saying? Let me. Uh, it's just, it's very, very telling seeing how people really feel about themselves, and that's basically what it is. Once you show that you're jealous of somebody, jealousy can kind of go one of two ways. It can either turn into envy, or it can turn into admiration. And yeah, I'm definitely seeing a whole lot of both of those right now. And it's just all over the world in this country. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what's going on. I just recently found out that on the 4th of this year, Independence Day, there was like a march on Capitol Hill. I did not know that. And once again, that just comes from jealousy at the end of the day. This is once again the usual suspects as normal, and that they're just very disgruntled that they are no longer have the perceived power, that artificial power anymore. They actually have to go out there and improve, like the rest of us, prove that make they actually have to do something essentially. You know what I'm saying? They just can't be born with all these rights and privileges and keep them from everybody else just because they aren't as blessed as us. I get why people do what they do. I get the whole jealousy thing. It makes complete sense. If you zoom out and look at it, take yourself out of it, take your ego out of it. Jealousy makes sense. That's why we have it. That's why we have all these emotions, to make the most of it. But at the same time, once you're hurting not only yourself but the people around you, that's kind of when things start to go left, things start to get wicked, and that's when people start to kind of combat you in a way. But yeah, just seeing a whole lot of that right now. Just kind of where we're at. Like I said, the 2020s have just been it's been the decade of like reflection, of accountability. That's a big one, and just kind of letting the truth come out. That's also another one. A lot of truths are definitely being revealed, and it's a long time coming. I was a millennial. I was born in '93, so I remember Y2K and all that nonsense, and then the 2000s. When the technological boom kind of really took off, and so much of what we see now just was being manifested and created back then. And we were doing pretty good, you know what I'm saying? It was a wild west everywhere, and especially on the internet, people were just saying and doing a whole bunch of wild shit. And we were, like I said, we were overall doing very, very well. A lot of industries were booming, and a lot of people were just doing better than we ever have in human history as a whole. The 80s are pretty good. Obviously, the Industrial Revolution and there's a whole bunch of things in the past, 150 years that have brought us where we are today. Early 2000s were a huge part of that. And like everything, everything ebbs and flows. All good things must come to an end. And 2020 was the beginning of that end, of whatever we were kind of creating. Because just like all things, all things have like a expiration date. They have like a bubble. When things kind of have to kind of course correct that's kind of what we're going through right now. And you're just seeing a whole lot of people doing the absolute most. You know, like right now, I'm just experiencing the most envy I've ever had in my entire life. Which, you know, if you look at it from an egotistical and jealous side, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting myself in very, very dangerous and precarious situations right now. This is like the last time you would want to be jealous of somebody. You know, my day to day isn't all that, you know, comfortable. It's not really all that yeah, it's not that all that convenient. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not, from a egotistical side, I'm not really doing that much better than the average person right now. From a day to day standpoint, and yet, you know, I'm still getting all this jealousy, sending all these comments, people, you know, making attempts on my life. You know, I was walking from the library a few days ago, and I heard, you know, someone driving to the left of me, making, you know, to the right of me, trying to make a left as I'm crossing the street, and I had to right away. And she said, "Oh, there goes this bitch ass. I should run him over." You know, I'm like, I'm not entirely sure why would you do that, or why would you say that. And then you're not gonna run me over, but why would you say that? You know what I'm saying? I wanted to, let's see if I wanted to be a little more egotistical, kind of confront her a little bit while she was driving, but there's other people around, there's other things going on. It's like, there's no point, you know what I'm saying? That's just so serving. So I just let her pretend to try to run me over, like I'm walking down across the crosswalk. She just takes off afterwards, because like I said, that's how she feels about herself. She's just very emotionally unregulated. Probably never met her a day in my life. She knows me, obviously, but I don't really know her, or at least know of her. But that's just, you know, one thing I've been experiencing that a whole lot. You know, people just taking off right around me, right in front of me. People have been poisoning me. You know, I can't count the amount of times I've been poisoned in this past couple years. You know what I'm saying? This has been quite a few times. People have been fucking with my food, and it's just like, once again, looking at it from a day-to-day egotistical side, that makes no sense, knowing my situation. But if you zoom out and look at it from a like biological, like kind of like a nature, like how I'm doing overall, it makes a lot of sense for people to be envious of me, even though it makes more sense for them to turn that into admiration, because that admiration is going to come back to you. All these things are just like projection, you know what I'm saying? It's a boomerang. So it's like, I hate the fact that she said that thing about running me over. Like, that's going to increase her chances of being ran over. You know what I'm saying? I remember I went to the hospital to get allergy checked to see what I'm allergic to. I had a bad allergic reaction, I think a month and a half ago. And one of the nurses, like, they knew what, everyone in the city knows what's going on with me. She was making a whole bunch of, you know, talking a whole lot of shit, honestly. Talking about all, you know, killing, and I had like a allergy to dust mites, I believe. And she was talking about, you know, you gotta suffocate them and put a pillow over put a pillow over them. And it's like, and I told her, like, I appreciate all the theatrics, and she had like this little nervous laugh. But it's like, why would you say that? You know, that's projection. I hope no one suffocates you. I'm hoping you didn't, or maybe you want me to suffocate you. I don't know, but that was projection. It had nothing to do with me. Like, not really sure why you, like I said, from an egotistical sense, I'm not sure why you would say that, but to take myself out of it, it's just how people feel about themselves and what they see in my future. You know what I'm saying? Because if I truly was, you know, destined for failure, if I was truly destined for all these things that these people would be saying, they would be silent. They wouldn't be saying anything. You know what I'm saying? They would understand that what's going on with me is futile. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the fact that they're saying all these things and doing all these things kind of gives me reassurance that everything's going to be okay and things going to be all right, because there's no point in making those comments and sending me this energy and doing these actions if I truly was destined for something terrible, something awful. And that's how they truly felt. You know what I'm saying? For these people, they're not very emotionally regulated. They're very miserable. That's kind of how a lot of people are in this city. in this world, unfortunately. And this is me trying to find the best way, going to find the best way to kind of alleviate that misery, to keep it from continuing and manifesting it into something that doesn't need to continue being. You know, I talked about yesterday how people kind of like what's going on here is a very, very environmental thing. You know what I'm saying? I've been different places and I never really experienced this much jealousy, this much envy there. It was a lot of admiration. A lot of people really liking who I was, liking how I carried myself. Got a lot more compliments. People were just a lot more forward with me. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of good energy being spread around, and that's not so much the case here. It's a little bit more foreign to get, at least on a day-to-day basis, on a daily basis. So many people just mentally just aren't doing all that great, and a lot of it is this part of the city. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the best weather. We don't have, you know, our resources aren't the best. You know, our public transit isn't the best. We're the best at anything, but we are good enough at everything. You know what I'm saying? We definitely have everything that you need. Maybe not anything that you want, but everything that you need is right here. And I think that's kind of what's the root of all this envy is, especially when we have social media and people are constantly on there looking at other people doing better than them. You know, people on there flexing, showing how they're a lot of lies too, but showing how, you know, better they are, how better they're living than other people. And being here or being in any place like this, that's obviously going to make you feel a certain type of way if you're constantly constantly digesting that every single day, seeing people that's doing better in better places, and it's like right there, right in front of you, right in front of your face, and all you see is the good parts of it too. You don't see all of the other parts, the behind the scenes parts that they don't want to show you. But once you live in a place like this that just gives you what you need, but not necessarily what you want, and you go on social media or just talk to people, and you're constantly talking about what you want, that's obviously gonna make you a very, very disgruntled person. Especially if you're in like the Midwest or any place similar to that. You know, you're just not gonna be all that happy, all that content. So what's going on here makes a whole lot of sense. Like it's very much environmental. The places that I went and I visited, they were not in the Midwest. And they were, you know, either in the coast or different countries where they are doing a lot better, and they have a lot. Those people are a lot more content. They still have problems. They still have a lot of things that we experience here, but overall, from a day-to-day perspective, it's definitely something that I've seen and noticed that it's very much here. And the main thing is that we just kind of get in our own way and constantly comparing ourselves to other people and just not really seeing what we have right here and not feeling like it's not enough. You know, seeing that we need more. I think that's self-serving. Like I said, it's very egotistical. And once you really look at it from a different perspective, you'll see how much that we have here that we don't really need anything else. And everything that we need is right here. But yeah, that just comes with more clarity, and this comes with people just having a better understanding of who they are and what life's truly about. You know what I'm saying? Once you take yourself out of it and truly see why you were even put on this planet to begin with. Once you kind of accept all that, then things start to make more sense. You know, start to get more clarity. Start to really see the blessings that manifest right in front of you every single day. So that's something that keep with me every single day and remind myself that that's what this is. That's why they do the things that they do and say the things that they say, is to make me a better person, show me what not to do, show me how to carry myself, and also show me how they truly feel. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't really tell me how they truly feel unless, you know, it's like in a one-on-one situation or they want to stop being miserable, want to feel better. People kind of want to stay in that misery for whatever reason. When they have their reasons to be there. They very rarely will tell me anything, especially how they truly feel. So I kind of have to take all the actions that they do and kind of decipher them that way without making like a blanket assumption about what's going on with them because I don't know them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anything about them. So it's something that I definitely try to process every single day. Is why these people are doing these things that are self-serving. I mean, it's also like sabotaging themselves at the same time. It's not really doing anything to me, long term or short term. You know what I'm saying? Like my blessings haven't stopped. They haven't truly. So it's like I don't know from an egotistical side, from a self-centered side, why they're doing these things. But from a natural biological, you zoom out a little bit, it makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? This is all just to make us better as a species. This is all just to kind of move us forward. That's why we have so many natural disasters in these past 10 years or so, because we just need to really see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Really, really take inventory about how precious life is and how life does not care life does not prioritize humans over any other living thing on this planet. And we kind of need to come to terms with that. And I think once we do, we'll start making a lot better decisions. I keep saying, better days are ahead, and I truly mean that. You know what I'm saying? Like we as a species, we aren't done evolving. We still have a lot more to go. We unfortunately, with a lot of our culture, especially like Eurocentric style cultures, we kind of forgot where we came from, and forgot that a lot of these lessons, a lot of these things that go on in life, we've known for centuries, for millennia. We just kind of are doing things that are self-serving. You know what I'm saying? How we have our societies structured. You know what I'm saying? It benefits a very small minority of people, and you just see so many people just kind of fed up with it. And that's why you see so many different groups and different type of people coming together, building communities, trying to revert back to what we are and how we're doing things, how we used to do things. That's the majority of the time we've been on this planet. We're just trying to go back to where we were. You know what I'm saying? Off of this misdirection, this nonsense that we're dealing with right now that isn't truly serving us long term. So that's basically, that's why I see all these groups and like different just people kind of going against the grain and going against what society's doing and building. It's just what they're doing is just reverting back to what we used to do, how we truly are. We haven't done anything new. We haven't created anything new in quite a long time. It's just us reverting back to what we are naturally here to do and how we naturally supposed to keep ourselves and go about ourselves. Nothing about what we do, very little about what we do in our day-to-day lives is going to be something that we're going to be doing 100 years from now. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that we just know from our environment, from our history. Once we learn from it and learn our whole history and learn where we truly come from, then a lot of this nonsense will stop. But that's the reason why I see all this envy, especially in this city. Every single day I see it, because it's just our way of getting back to that, our way of doing a full circle and coming back to who we truly are as a species, as animals, and truly start to feel better about ourselves. That's why there's so many bars and churches here in Cleveland, because we're just trying to get back to who we truly are and get rid of all these vices and copes that aren't really serving us long term. It's all very self-serving. You're not going to find anything decent in these current bars or in these current churches. You know what I'm saying? They're going to these places looking for things that aren't there, and that's why you see so much of the up-and-coming generation refusing to go to these places, because they know there's nothing there for them. Never really was, truly. Even back in the 70s and 80s, those places weren't really for anybody, but people weren't as miserable back then as they are now. But yeah, it's just a lot of my thoughts of how things are, or how I'm viewing things with same jealousy, and how I don't take it fully personal. I know why it's there. I know why people are very envious right now. It makes sense. It truly does. Things aren't progressing the way that we were all sort of built of lies. At the end of the day, not only in the city, in this country, but in the world, and we're all just trying to cope and make the best of these lies, and and how a lot of people really put a lot of their eggs in that one basket. You know what I'm saying? Now they're seeing everything kind of crumble around them. They don't know how to act. They don't know what to do, which is very valid. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to try and make their situation any worse, but at the same time I have to do what I need to do as well, like all of us, and get past all this. So no, I appreciate the jealousy. Truly, I appreciate the envy because it brings out the admiration. I appreciate the admiration, but it's all the same. I don't pedestalize either one of them. But at the same time, I do realize that this can't continue. You know what I'm saying? Long term, people don't need to go through this. I've been saying this a lot. There doesn't need to be any more Dimitris. You know what I'm saying? Not that I don't love myself, but I don't know why my mother and my father, being who they are, decided to have children together. Truly, I think that those two specific people should have been with other people. They needed to make me, obviously, but it's like I don't want to keep creating or living in a world that has to create people like me to do what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? That's not necessary. Not saying I want to have kids. I definitely do, but they're definitely not going to be like me at all. They're not like they're not going to do the things that I had to do. They're not going to live in that world. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I mean by there doesn't need to be any more me's walking around, doing what I have to do. This is something that is once in a millennia type thing. You know what I'm saying? These people like me don't come along very often. That's probably for the best. You know what I'm saying? There needs to be very small amount of people like me walking around. We're needed now, but we are definitely hopefully not needed all that much in the future. So that's kind of what I'm kind of getting at when I say that to myself. But now that I'm saying it, this video as well, it's not like a self-loathing or a self-hating thing. It's just like there doesn't need to be people who rock around and just kind of hold up a mirror to the world and be like, hey, this is kind of who you are. This is kind of what you're doing, how you're projecting, and you gotta do. My shirt says, you gotta be better, feel better, think better, because this world don't care about none of us. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna sabotage yourself, that's all you have. That's all you have is you. You don't have anybody else. So doing all this is very self-serving, it's very egotistical, and it's not gonna help you out long term. It's only going to help the people see from your mistakes. So learn from people's jealousy, learn from everyone, myself included, and let's continue let's continue keeping this world spinning and progressing into the egotistical creatures, animals that we truly are.